So it's Tuesday, middle of December. Just a quick update on the greenhouse. Also, gonna let you know, today I'm gonna drop the head off. I'm gonna call the guy and see if I can drop the head off the other head. Then I have to go to Harbor Freight because I don't have a torque wrench, and I'm gonna get some polishing wheels to like clean up the gasket parts of the motor and the heads and all that. Polish them clean and be able to check them out, make sure there's no problems. But I'm gonna go to Harbor Freight to get those. I could go to Lowe's, but you're not gonna spend too much there. That squash plant, I did water it, which thought might help it. I don't know that these squash plants, I think I got in here just a little too late, even though the vines still have some green to them. I'm not sure about that. Now, as far as the tomatoes, it's becoming more apparent which ones are definitely dead. However, there are some green leaves left, and they are not wilted and dead. They're even trying to flower here. So a lot of what I did, you can see, like none of that has got a chance, and that's fine. I just trying to figure out what's what. So some of these more lively vines, I'll track them down and try to put them in a little secondary cold frame that I'm going to make out of all those extra barrels I've got. So you can see what's got a chance and what doesn't. I think I might be able to save some of this. I'm going to give it a shot. I wanted to give it a few days to see how things would look. So if the vine's still got some green in it, I have hope for it at this point, like it hasn't gotten frozen. So it's going to be a lot easier to determine what to put in these barrels when I drag them up. So I'm going to bring more in and line them up and cut little bits of blanket to put over it. But it's not a priority right now, even though I am interested in saving the tomatoes that I can. Save the Tomatoes Initiative. Today I have much nicer weather. It looks like some of these onions are going to do their thing. A little more dry down this end. I might water a little bit today, but that's just a quick update on that. I might try to save a few vines later in the day, but since I have like upper 50s, it's in the shade. It says it's 58. Probably fairly accurate. It's pretty nice out here. So here's what I was working on yesterday. I'm gonna keep going with getting these panels wired up, and I'm not sure where I left off with that, but I'm gonna take apart that little cover there. I'm gonna get the wires run down that way and bundled together and so forth. I guess I'll just show you more pictures as I can't remember where I left off, but this is what I'm working on. I can't find my angle indicator gauge thing that you can set it on a solar panel and it'll tell you the tilt. I need to get up, and I didn't look it up. I think it's 78 degrees. So I want to get it pretty close. That way when I make a little adjuster or a little extension, see how it's welded right there? It's welded at the top, so you can't take that apart, but you take out one screw and prop it up, or you got two braces per panel. I take the screw out, and then I can put an extension on there and push it exactly to where I need it to be, and then put the screws back in, and then I can just do that twice a year, which I should have already done it. You probably need to do it like 8 weeks either side of the solstice, maybe 12 weeks either side of solstices. That way you're doing a summer adjustment and a winter adjustment, and that will give you 5%. And it doesn't sound like much, but if you have 20 panels and you make that adjustment, it's like having 21 panels. So I think it's worth getting up there and moving a few screws and taking a little extension in and out twice a year. I think it's really worth it. So anyway, if I can find my angle indicator, I will make some braces and show you what that looks like, or some extensions for my adjustment here. And I'm going to also install a 6th panel down there, which I'll probably do that today. So I'm going to work on all this solar and get the wires all done, and then I'm going to fall back into the greenhouse later in the day and maybe try to save a few vines. And I also have to make a trip up towards Zion's Crossroads to drop off my head, if the guy's even available. So I'll call him, in the middle of the afternoon, see how that goes. So I'll update you on all this work in a little while. Thanks for watching. Oh man, bummer. I've been looking for my radio here. Call it Marathoner. It's the one I took to Tulsa with me, and it ran for 3 weeks on the same set of batteries. Well, I left the switch on radio and had the volume turned down, and it finally gave up. kill the batteries. But it has been a true trooper. Doesn't even have a radio. Can't even tell what station it's on anymore. But oh boy, finally gave up. It needs new batteries. Did a great job though. So we got some Green Day playing. So what I've done is this one are my positives. So I got these positives running here. Now what I've done is I made the little extension I showed you. That's a new connector, and now I've run those two together, so it's still 24 volts. It just has more amps. So this is my positive. I did this so I wouldn't have 4 wires to connect. This way I will bring, this is my positive from down that way. I'll hook this one, and then the new one, and that'll still be my positive. The yellow is my positive. Black is my negative. This is my negative side. Got it coming down here. Got it coming from over there. And this will be my negative, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch my negative over to red. And then I'll put some black tape on it to make sure I don't get confused. You can see number 10 on there clearly. Number 10. So I'll double check this wire before I use it. And then I'll string that down, and then it'll go inside the greenhouse down there. I'm not, because I can get to it over there. This part I can't really. I think I can get to it over there, because that part's inside. Anyway, I'll take it apart and see. If not, I'll keep running it down the backside. I don't know, it might be easier. Maybe I'll just keep running it down the outside all the way to that corner down there. Because once I get over by that, where that slope roof is, more slope, higher pitch, I know right in that corner I can get right in that from that other, where I walk in through the door, I can get right in there, and I won't have to try to go through my insulation or anything. Probably just run it on the outside all the way down. And when I get down to that part, I'll start installing that panel. So anyway, so doing this just to have less, I won't have to have such big caps. I don't even have them anyway. You need the blue if you're going to put 4 in there, I think. 3, it might do 4, but I'm not going to try. So anyway, that's where I'm at. So here it is. The series continues, the wiring series that is. We got Rat playing. Blast from the past for sure. This brings those 2 negatives together, and then I put that negative to bring all the negative from down there, and the negative going to the left, and then the same thing with the positives here. I got it wired in here. Now I'm going to pull this extra wire that way and take all the slack as far as I can to the left, so I can use just as little wire as possible. And I do have to leave some slack, so when I stand these panels up, I'm not straining the wires. Got to leave a little slack. So anyway, I thought I'd show you these wires just kind of tucked back up under there. So they're actually under the greenhouse roof. So basically an indoor installation. It's not going to have any sunlight on it. Not going to really get wet. I mean, I guess a chance it might get a little water, but I don't think it's going to hurt it. This is the outside, and then it has the covering. So, and I'll probably come back at some point and foam in all these little gaps, but maybe not. We'll see. Okay, now I've gotten to the point where I've pretty much wired these together. So I have 4 panels coming together in this red and yellow wire. The yellow is my positive, the red is my negative at this point. It's a little slightly confusing, but I'll get it all written down, taped out for people that follow me later on this project when they come in and work. I mean, so these wires here are going to be to the panel that is not installed yet. It's going to be down there. It's going to come back and tie in here. This panel comes in right here. This green and black wire tie in here. I have to jump to number 8 now. I have 4 panels, 8.5, 9 amps each. So 9 times 4 is 36 amps or more, 36 to 40 amps. And that number 10 is only good for 30 amps. So I'm pushing it on a really sunny day. I might be overloading the wires. We shall see, but it also hurts efficiency. I don't think I'll melt any wires, but I might start losing efficiency. So I've got to bring a number 8 and tie it in right here. and then I've got to run it on down that way. So I've reached as far as I can with number 10. This number 10 is going to be feeding back, so this one is not going to be a problem because it's coming back this way and tying into that, and that might be maxing out, you know, a 20-foot run of 8. I don't know. I'm not sure. So eventually, all the solar control is going to be down there, and the greenhouse is not even built yet. So this is all just going to be temporary. This piece of number 8 will be temporary. So eventually I'll probably have to get back in here and pull the 8 all the way back the other way and tie it in down there. But I have that deep freeze I want to get running. I have that well pump I want to, or that pressure pump I want to be running. I got these panels sitting here, so I'm putting this stuff into use. It's a little more work now, but at least I could put it into use. The reason I have a green little pigtail there is this wire has got some broken insulation cracks and stuff, see, like that. So I'm just cutting it into smaller pieces. I don't trust this particular piece of wire. It got really beat up, so I am definitely checking all this used wire as I go. And if anybody comes in behind me, they can always just trace it from the panels. They can kind of figure out what's going on. It's not that hard. Just don't trust the colors too much. Just trust this new yellow. That's always going to be positive. The yellow has remained positive. It's the negative that's changed color. So whatever, yellow is positive, whatever other color is negative. So in this, yellow will be positive, the white will be negative. And then I'm going to have to definitely tape up all my number 8 because it's just a black roll. I bought it years ago, and I bought enough to get the contractor discount at Lowe's, whatever. Bought the full roll, and it was a 30 or 40% discount, buy the whole roll type thing. And I was going to run a service with it. I never did. So I have a big roll of number 8, thankfully, because it's so expensive these days. That was a good investment. So I'm going to start taking this down and get the number 8 in, and also start on that panel. All right, I found my angle gauge. I was looking for my amp meter, and of course I find my angle gauge and not my amp meter. Anyway, I unhooked those extra wires over there to the left. That would be for the 6th panel, which is not installed. I unhooked it. I got my number 8 run here. Got it marked. Green is positive and the black is negative. And I just went ahead and wired that number 8 to my number 12s. One wire has juice from 4 panels, and one wire has a wire from juice from 1 panel. So that's 5 panels coming together into this number 8. And I was wanting to check the amps. So that number 8 is good for 40 amps. We might be over that, but I don't know because I can't find my amp meter. And I haven't seen it for a while, so I don't know. Here's my angle gauge. You can get these at the box stores. I'm at 30 right now. Ish, 32. Let's see what it is down here. Pink Floyd on the radio. Alright, it's about 30. So what I need is, I think, about 75 at least. So, and as you can see from the way the sun is, brightness, this would be much better served standing up. But I will work on that later because I'm in the midst of this. So I'm gonna go around and show you the other end of my number 8. It runs all the way that way. Here's my roll of number 8, by the way. How many ever feet that is? 250 feet maybe. I think I bought 2 spools, 500 feet to get the discount. And here's just a pair of lineman's pliers, side cutters, whatever you want to call them, dikes. I just got vice grip. Yeah, they work pretty well. So this is what I cut my number 8 with. I'm going to take you around and show you where I ran it. So I'm in my little chicken house. See that black wire up there? I ran it. And then it comes through here. Comes through here. I'll get it all zip tied down, stapled, whatever I need to do. So I estimate it's between 20 and 25 feet. And like I said, this is temporary. So it's supposed to be around 32.7 volts, and you can see, I don't know why it varies like that, fluctuating, but don't know how many amps we've got. Probably around 40. Anyway, I'm going to drag over some batteries. This is a 30 amp charge controller. So I don't know if it's got 40 amps coming into it, if it's going to hurt it. Probably will only send 30 amps back. into the batteries. So I'm going to have to get a 40 amp controller or a 50 amp controller. I'll check into that. And I'll work on getting some battery storage. I'm going to drag some batteries over. Let me show you from where. Alright, I got my batteries moved in here. I've got 6 of these total, but I only have moved 4. They're 6 volts, 224 amps each. So if you wire them in series, you will end up with 24 volts at 224 amps. So positive and negative, positive and negative, positive and negative. Now, turns out that a regular 5/16 or whatever that is bolt on a regular battery terminal works. Now these are aluminum. I bought like 24 of them back in the middle of the height of the pandemic. There was no battery cables to be found anywhere. Or battery terminals, just regular lead. I was working on my loader, skid steer, or my wheel loader over there, and I couldn't get any lead ones, so I went ahead and ordered 24. They come on a little card, like a display card, retail card. I ordered 24 of them, 2 packs of 12. Turns out they're really not that great. They melt pretty easy, and they're not really that great for automotive. So I had them here, so I've decided to use them. As Tim the Toolman Taylor says, necessity is a mother of an inventor. I'm going to, I bent each ear a little bit. If you bend one ear only, it'll crack. So you bend each ear so you can get it closed in. And then I'll show you. Where's my bolt here? All right, you got an ear side and a non-ear side. So I'll put the bolt through the non-ear side. That way when you're tightening it, it'll just spin freely without getting caught on that shoulder. And this side, spin the bolt in until it starts coming through. And I take it and just thread it onto the battery lug. Now this is just temporary, yet it's excuse me, dusty. Not ideal. You get it going, and no wrench seems to fit this correctly, so I use the adjustable to tighten it down. So anyway, you got aluminum going on, you got a steel bolt, then you got copper. I think the lug on the battery is copper, and then you got copper wire. Nice and tight. Well, I'll tighten it in a minute. It's hard to do by, you gotta hold it at the last when you snug it. So now, yes, I'm gonna only use 8 wire. I'm gonna use number 8 wire for this, just because it's not hooking to a big giant inverter or anything like that. This is a total 224 amps at 24 volts. I'm pretty sure it'll run this deep freezer, and I think the deep freezer only runs at 108 watt. I forget how many amps. I'll have to look it up. But I'm pretty sure that I can run my pressure pump and my deep freeze off of this battery bank with no problem. This thing's been sitting. It barely has a charge. It's going to take a couple weeks to charge. So I'm going to put this small wire, 8 gauge wire, just to get it going. And later I will hook it up with better wire. I just don't have anything I need. This is just what I'm going to use for now. I do have some old welding lead I'll cut up and get some real welding lead ends and lugs and all that stuff. I'll show you how I do that. But for now, I'm just going to use what I've got to get this thing started to charge. And I'm almost out of sunlight, so I want to get these batteries at least started tonight. So I'm going to go get my number 8 wire, and I'm going to just wire this up real quick using these lugs. I'll probably turn these plates over so they'll grab a smaller wire. If you can see that, you can turn the plate over. It's got a little round part, so it'll be facing in, and I'll grab. So I'll show you that after I get it wired up. And this over here, I broke that lug that I showed you. I haven't fixed that yet. So I've been using that way for weeks or months. Hasn't been a problem. So anyway, I'll show you when I finish wiring up that 8. Well, it took me a little bit to get it done, but I got that negative off of that end, and this positive off of this end, run to the charge controller, and then the 2 solar leads are coming into this. So we got all the solar leads and all the battery leads hooked up. I don't have a load over here yet. That load would go out to my deep freezer here, or out to that pressure pump. The wires running into that. The wires coming all the way from over there from the tank. The pressure pump's on the tank. So I'll run that's the end of my 100-foot wire, so I'll have to bury a little bit of wire here. And then I have to bring it in and hook it up to this. Then all of this should be working, and I can move on to something else until I get my other structure built. But we're out of sun, so we will see. And these batteries are at, is that 2.1 or no, 20.9 volts, and it's supposed to be 24, so that's all right. I doubt there's very many amps in there, but may have to charge for a while. But this is a 224 amp hour at 24 volt battery bank, and I'll have to see what, I'm pretty sure this deep freeze runs on 24 up to 24 volts, 12 to 24 volts. So, but I'll look at that tomorrow. I gotta go call about dropping off that cylinder head. So anyway, onward we march.